Good evening. We're getting ready to get started. And so just want to extend a good evening to everyone that has joined us in person. Also want to say hello to anyone that is joining us online. We certainly appreciate you joining us in that space as well. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Richard Jackson. I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of serving as the Managing Director of Fiscal Services for this great city, Duncanville. And we appreciate, again, everyone joining us either in person or virtual for in CIP Town Hall for 2025 and 2026. As a quick housekeeping note, as you can see at the top of this slide here, on this cover slide, you can follow the slides at home or here in person by simply going to menti.com, MENTI.com, and using the code in that top right corner. Entering that code in, again, at menti.com will allow you to follow with us, alongside us throughout the program. In a couple seconds in case there may be someone who wants to check that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. So again, just had a brief introduction of myself. We will also have our budget administrator, Ms. Jennifer Odie, who will present for you all this evening as well. We'll also have some of our department directors who will give some overview of their departments as well. So looking in terms of over the course of our agenda for this program this evening, again, we will have some discussion on the 2026 operating budget, again, going on a high level with some of our respective departments: police, fire, public works, parks and recreation, as well as economic development. So during that time, certainly, if there are any questions that you have, please raise your hand. We want to make sure that this is a very interactive discussion, and want to make sure that we're getting input from you all, the residents of this great city. And then finally, we'll have a recap of our capital improvement project and program workshop, and again, present another opportunity so that we can get feedback from you, the residents, and you, the community, in terms of what things you're looking to see with this upcoming budget. Again, this budget is just kicking off, so no decisions have been finalized and made. We're very much just getting started, and so we want to let you know that we're welcoming your input, and anything that you have question-wise, we want to try to make sure that that's out on the table for discussion as well. Again, when we look at things both from intermediate and long term, in terms of the planning that goes on for the city of Duncanville, everything has to work in tandem and in collaboration with one another. And so under the leadership of our city manager, Mr. Doug Finch, we are striving to do just that. There is the comprehensive plan that has already been in the works and is very much in progress. And we call it Duncanville 2040. So while project-wise it is looking at the next 15 years, it's setting us up for the next 20 to 30 years and beyond. And so certainly as the town halls and the workshops would indicate, our push is for a shared community approach between administration, your city council members, as well as you, the community. And again, all pulling in the same direction for what we want to see as a thriving community here in Duncanville. On the medium term, certainly there The master plans, those are the things that have more of a specific project focus. There was just the Lad Nature Preserve, as an example, that was just recently approved by council earlier this week. But again, focusing on capital projects, but also things that have a specific impact timeline-wise within 5 to 15 years. And then finally, on a budget basis that we submit, propose, and passage for on an annual basis. So we have now 1+ years, but one of the things, again, that we're pushing for is that we would have budget information in the future that will cover multiple years, so that that can better have from an administrative standpoint, as well as work with city council and the community that are planning multiple years in advance. As we look ahead, going into our fiscal year, we want to be able to highlight some of the wonderful things that we already have in progress from this team here in Duncanville. And so the first, as I mentioned before, our Comp Plan 2040 that is very much in the works and hope to be finalized later in this year, which will really be a great foundation for what we have moving forward. Our capital improvement, which is, we've had several workshops on the topic already, but again, breaking those projects up into short-term, medium-term, and long-term that cover anywhere from the next 3 to 15 years. Various projects that we continue to seek input from the leadership as well as the community to make sure that we're in line with what you want to see. Cultural Arts District. We've had Cultural Arts District that was set up through the Arts Commission. It also leads into the programming and events that are forthcoming. So we're very excited about the trend moving forward with respect to that as well. 2025 bond program. So we had a bond committee that is recently formed and actually had their first meeting yesterday, Wednesday evening. And so as we move forward with some of the potential capital projects that are out there that we've listened to you, the residents, that you would like to see, certainly we want to make sure that we are positioned as best as possible when it comes to potential bonds to get some of these projects accomplished. And finally, OpenGov. There's been quite a bit of conversation about this particular software platform, and we're very happy to again announce that with this year's budget, we will be implementing the OpenGov software. What this will allow the city to do is to increase our transparency on budget items, as well as our finished product of a budget book, that it would be more digestible because it's online and it will have different links and different methods where you can peel into the budget that are focuses for you, or different things that have a level of interest for you. But also moving forward, it will allow us to be able to post budget to actual, so you can see in real time, along with the reporting that Ms. Odie does for our city council on a monthly basis, that the residents as well will have that information and have different graphs and tables that they're able to have. So again, just another step that we're trying to do in listening to the community, that we want to increase our transparency on where we are budgetarily as well as financially. We have a couple of links that Ms. Odie will help explain in terms of some other communities that already have the OpenGov platform up and running, so we can give you a little preview of things that you can expect to see with Duncanville.
Thank you. I just wanted to show y'all, this is really loud, just what it could look like. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but just so you can get an idea of what is to come. Make this a little bigger. So this is an example from the city of Fredericksburg, Texas. So this is their online budget platform. This is what it looks like. It can be very customizable depending on the city and what kind of content and how they want to show the information. So this is not by no means a fixed way of doing it, but nevertheless, it is our goal as we're building this sixth budget to concurrently building the online budget book. So when it comes time for us to propose the budget in July, that we will have the website up and running. And so, like I said, City of Fredericksburg, they have all of their information laid out here. They have a nice table of contents, and then all that very easily you can navigate through the various areas and click on the various links. Again, I'll just pick one, but to give you an idea, again, it's customizable based on the city. So, we have folks that really want to drill down into the information and some that are just, good with the bottom line. So it just allows you to be as detailed as you want or as summarized. And so it just makes it very easy to digest the information. It makes it very easy to navigate and very accessible online and through your phone or tablet. So that's kind of what an online budget looks like. But it also will have the capability for those that want to print it out or have a PDF fixed static or whatever, that's also will be a capability. It'll be able to consolidate that into a PDF if you wanted to, print it out and put it in a book, for example. So that's one example of what an online budget book and what we mean. Other component which won't be, we got to get the budget piece first, but we're going to work towards the transparency piece. So the city of Granbury uses OpenGov for their transparency and reporting. So through their website, they put their actuals, they put their monthly, how they're trending, and again, this is also customizable with graphs, tables, depending on how you like to see the information. But so you can look at the annual information, you can look at the budget information, and be able to, click on it and drill down. And once this does go live, there will be some training and some videos of how to use this to create, again, that transparency and to provide that detail. So the citizens can, at any time look at this information and hopefully get as much information as they desire. So just kind of want to show you a preview of what's to come when it comes to our online platform. And back to Richard.
Thank you. And we look at the fiscal year 25-26. When we break down what our focus is operationally, it comes down to three main points, objectives. And number one is vacancies. Certainly, there are departments both in departures and in open positions that are very aggressively having recruitment for those positions. And so it is a focus of ours so that we can get to full strength in various staff of the departments, that we continue to push forward in the area of filling those vacant positions. Second area is department work plans. It's been a goal that we've had organization-wide to make sure that we have modified and we have shored up the work plans, each individual department. And as we move forward to make sure that we are doing what needs to be done on the department level for accomplishing all of the objectives and the goals and to maximize the use of the budget that are allocated. And so as we continue to take shape not only through this fiscal year, but moving into the following fiscal year, there is definitely a focus on modifying, reviewing, editing where need be, various work plans throughout all of our departments with the city to make sure that we're all putting not only forward, but we're pushing in unison in the right direction. And then finally, again, as we'll talk more later on in this particular session this evening, the capital improvement projects. Again, we've heard you, and we certainly want to move forward with various projects, particularly in the short term, but also looking beyond as well in terms of the next 15 years with respect to various programs, projects, and tasks as it relates to the capital improvement for the city. With that, I will turn over to Ms. Odie.
I'm not as tall. Okay. So, some important dates I want y'all to be aware of, those that are at home and here in the audience. We are going to have multiple workshops with council. This will be a great opportunity for citizens to be able to talk with their council, come talk with city staff as we are building this budget. So we're going to have a workshop on April 29th. It'll be a very preliminary. We won't really have like our revenues and everything in place yet, but we're going to start talking about some of those big items as we're building our budget. We'll have another preliminary budget workshop on June 26th. So if you like to get into the details of the budget and what's all in it, these will be the opportunity to come and hear about all of that. July 18th is our internal deadline for staff to propose the budget, to have it completed. Charter, we're required to have it filed by the end of July 31st, but it's our goal to have it completed sooner than that. We will do an official presentation to council on the 29th, and then we go through some things that we have to do legally in terms when it comes to tax rate and having hearings and such. So in August, we will have that workshop. In September is when we'll have all the hearings for the budget and to the tax rate. Then we officially adopt the budget and the tax rate before our fiscal year, which starts October 1st. So these are all those dates for public workshops. Okay, so kind of getting into the budget, we're not going to get into detail tonight, but just to give you an overview of how our budget is set up and how it breaks down. So this is actually our current FY25 budget, and how it breaks down. So for our expenses, so general fund is what comprises, you pay property tax on your home. This goes into the general fund. We have other sources of revenue that come in. This is pays for most of our expenses, our staff, public safety, things like that. So 44% of all of the funds that we spend are general related. 27% are enterprise fund related. That includes your utility funds, so the water, wastewater, sanitation, the field house. Those are called enterprise funds. They're like businesses. They're set up like businesses. So 27% of expenses are related to those type of funds. We have a small percentage of 10% that is what we call special use. So these are like economic development fund, hotel, motel. Those have specific uses. We cannot just spend them on anything that we like. So economic development comes from sales tax. It has to go with economic development related expenditures. Hotel, motel has to go with tourism and events and things that, putting heads in beds and people staying here in our hotel. And some various other smaller funds, but those are specific use. And then lastly, 19% of our budget is for capital and replacement type funds, so replacing infrastructure, replacing fleet, things like, so that's just kind of how our expenditures break down. So we're really focusing on the general fund again, because property tax, what you pay on your house, is over half of what our general fund revenue comprises of. So 54% is property tax that we receive. The 23% of the revenue we receive in our general fund comes from sales tax. So you spend, you get charged sales tax, 2% comes back to the city, and the remainder of that 8.25% that you pay goes to the state. The 2% comes back to the city, 1.5% goes into the general fund, the remaining 0.5% goes to economic development. So 75% of our budget is from those two sources. The remainder of the budget are from a variety of other things. We receive franchise fees from, Encore, Atmos, or using right-of-ways. So we have a really, cold winter. We'll see an increase in franchise fees, for example. We also charge for services such as memberships. We charge for EMS, for ambulatory care. If you are developing a business and need a permit, things like that, we charge, for those things. So that's what pretty much the remainder of the general fund budget comes from. Something just to note, we are in an 89th legislative session now at the state. Every session seems like there's a lot of legislation that initially gets filed. It's very early in their season. There is numerous bills that are out there that's been filed relating to property tax relief. We don't know at this point, obviously, what's going to shake out and what's going to stick. It can be anything from they want to increase the exemptions for on the school district side, for example, to they want to abolish property tax altogether. So we'll see ultimately what shakes out, but it is one of the big priorities of the governor is when he initiated when they opened up the session, he had a few emergency items, and the top of the list was property tax relief. So we'll keep you informed ultimately what happens at the state level, as it could very much potentially affect the city in our resources and affect taxpayers as well. On the other note, sales tax, in the last couple of years, we've seen a very minor growth, about 1.8% growth over the last 2 years. So it's, at this point, don't have a good idea of what sales tax is going to do. That's why economic development is so important to bring businesses and to increase our values and everything here so we can grow that sales tax base. That's how it's been doing for the last couple of years. On the expenditure side of general fund, so our budget is $2 million, and I wanted to show you how it's broken down in two different ways. The first way here on the left-hand side shows you how it's broken down by categories. 66% of our general fund expenditures go to staff. So that's, our police, our fire, our public works staff. The next big category, 18% of that number goes to contractual services, but we have a lot of partnerships with the best Southwest cities. We call it the best Southwest. That includes Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Lancaster. We partner with them for regional dispatch, which is our SWRCC. We partner with Cedar Hill for the animal shelter. We partner with DeSoto for the jail. So a lot of those expenditures come out of that category. On the right side of the graph here, it breaks it down by department. The largest department by far is police. They get 30% of the pie. The next department is fire at 20%, and the next largest department is public works. So over 2/3 of general fund budget goes to primarily those three departments. And again, as we said, we're a public entity. We're a service-oriented organization, so we are people. Just looking ahead in terms of the utility funds, what I was trying to show you here, we are going to go fourth year of a rate increase. We passed an ordinance back in 22 when we did a water study on our rates, and so this will be the fourth year that the rates will be increased. And what I was trying to convey here is to show you the three largest expenditures within the utility fund. We pay the Trinity River Authority, which is the organization that treats our wastewater. We also buy wholesale water. So you turn on your faucet, the water that you're getting is coming from the Dallas Water Utility. And then we also fund a portion for wastewater, water infrastructure updates, and and infrastructure repair. Those three expenditures consist the majority of what's in the utility fund. And what I'm trying to show here is, the costs continue to go up as Dallas Water passes along rate increases, as Trinity River Authority passes along rate increases, does their own capital projects. So therefore, in order to be sustainable, we have to pass those rates along to consumers as well. And just another note, our garbage collection contract will expire in September of 26. So look out for more information of what ultimately happens at that point in time. Okay, so at this point, we're going to have a few departments just come up and share a little bit about them and what you can expect. You're able to ask questions. Just raise your hand if you have a specific question as they present. I'll come along with the mic and you can ask the question. And thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Stockner, and I am your police chief. So echoing what you said in regards to our budget, we have a pie graph here. 70% of that, as you can imagine, is regarding our personnel. 19%, she went over our regional partnerships that we have with Cedar Hill, DeSoto, including dispatch, jail, and our animal shelter. Our authorized staffing, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. Our authorized staffing, that includes our professional staff as well, is 79 and a half. The half is a part-time employee. So our divisions, I would like to recognize Assistant DT Arena. He is over our operations. I'm going to put him on the spot for a second. He oversees operations, which includes patrol, animal control, crime prevention, and then Assistant Chief Wilcox, who commands our support, which is CID record, Special Service Crossing Guard. So it's a tremendous amount of work for both of them, and certainly can't do it without them. Our budget highlights, again, as Jennifer said, are regional partnerships. In addition to that, we partner with the Sheriff's Department to help with highway accidents. When a highway accident occurs, it takes a lot of personnel to help safely investigate and clear the scene. So we want to do it safe. Obviously, they have more resources than we do. However, us in the fire department do a good job calming the scene upon their arrival. The next thing that we have are health assessments. That is in fact, the fire department kind of championed this effort several years ago, where we are now concerned with obviously our health. I think the fire department deals more with the cancer side of things, whereas the police department deals more with the cardiovascular. So this will help us kind of identify very quickly some issues that maybe an officer was unaware about, and help obviously progress through their career. Ultimately, the goal is to retire and live long enough to enjoy your retirement. So starting this now will certainly help that. Our accomplishments last year was something amazing. It's never been happened, or never happened, at least to my knowledge. I was appointed the interim in January and then confirmed in August, but that's not the exciting thing. The exciting thing is we had 8 promotions in 1 year. That's never happened. So there was a tremendous amount of movement in our department. With that movement comes training. With that movement comes new opportunities for people to come in. The other thing that I'm very proud of is after about 14, 15 years of not having it, we re-implemented our K-9 unit, which is working tonight. Actually, it was last night. It was this Friday. That's a great program. Council came out, introduced Jack. Very, very big dog, very nice dog, but is meant to go and certainly do his job out there. We were re-accredited. We received our re-accreditation, and what TPCA is the Police Chiefs Association, and what accreditation means is our policy, the way we operate in the police department is the same, it's best standards. There's about, I believe, 120 agencies in Texas that they compare us to, and we all fall under best practices. So that's a huge thing. It began with former Chief Brown when he hired on, I believe it was in wasn't when he was hired on, but in 2016, I believe, is when we received our first accreditation. And every 3 or 4 years, we have to be reaccredited. So what they do is they come in and look at our policies. It's a tremendous amount of work, but it shows that we are in line with the best practice here in the state of Texas. One of the things, the completion of all supervisors through the FBI LEDA training. The LEDA stands for Law Enforcement Executive Development Association. What that is there's 3 trainings. It begins with supervisor, then supervisor, command, and then executive. It's 3 weeks long. It is a very intense training to help these supervisors and leaders understand the importance of role as a first line supervisor, as a lieutenant in executive level, or command level rather, as an assistant chief in the command level, executive level. Some of our opportunities, big thing, number 1, can't be overstated. Our current facility is so undersized. I have people currently in office in closets where you can't fully open the door because it bangs against their desk. I mean, you have to slide through the door to get in their office. That, if you go down to the next bullet, hurts with the recruiting efforts when people come in. Now, we've made significant strides in recruiting as well, where we initially had 2 recruiters, we have 20 recruiters in the police department. So the more people who are out there recruiting, the more applicants we get, and we start filling our vacancies. Last year was the first year A+, which means we've hired more than we've lost. And it's because of the recruiting efforts. It's because of Assistant Chief Wilcox, his leadership with this recruiting effort. It is a tremendous amount of work. They are held accountable because I'm held accountable to ensure that we fill our vacancies, not just to fill them, but with the right people, the people that we want representing us on the street wearing this badge and these patches. Finally, the next thing we have is our new CAD and RMS project, which is being led by Lieutenant McCarty. He is not here now. This new CAD and RMS is going to be a significant game changer to us. It's going to help us with the data. I'm a very data-driven person when it comes to where we put our resources. We have limited resources, so I have to know where to put these to ensure that they're impacting what needs to be impacted. So that's pretty much it for me. Is there any questions? All right, thank you. I'll give you Chief Keneally.
Well, good evening. As Chief Stoddard said, I'm Chris Keneally. I'm your relatively new fire chief. I came to the city in September, and I couldn't be happier and very excited to be here. So as you can see, we have 55 members in the Duncanville Fire. We presently have fire stations, and I'll get to a potential third station